Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, students and fellow physics enthusiasts. In our previous episode, we analyzed a displacement time graph. Today, we will discuss how to interpret a velocity time graph. How do we determine the slope of a velocity time graph? And how do we compute, based from the velocity time graph, the distance as well as the displacement of a moving body? Join me till the end of this video. Watch and learn. The questions are: all graph lines in this velocity time graph correctly describe the motion of the body except option A, graph line A, increasing positive acceleration. Graph line B, or option B, graph line B, velocity is decreasing positively, then increasing negatively. Option C, graph line C, constant negative velocity. And option D, graph line D, decreasing negative velocity. And the correct answer is option A. Question number 2. Find the total distance and the net displacement during the time interval 10 seconds to 20 seconds. In question number 1, right, the correct answer given is option A, which describes graph line A to mean that the acceleration of the body is increasing positively, right? Why is our answer option letter A? Remember, the question is asking for the incorrect description, right? So, the slope of a velocity time graph, first of all, represents the acceleration of the body or the particle. Okay? So, like in this case, graph line A, as you can see, is sloping upward to the right, but it is not a straight line. Instead, it is a curve, right? And the concave side of the curve is facing to the right. So the fact that it is sloping upward to the right simply means that its velocity is increasing in magnitude. And its direction is to the positive x direction. All right? So that's our description of the velocity. And the fact that it is a curve, in this case, the concave side is facing to the right, suggests that the slope of this graph is not constant, but rather it is decreasing in magnitude, right? So we say that the body has a decreasing positive acceleration, right? Um, we can check this by getting the what we call the slope of the graph, right? But we will choose uh, the whole time interval from 0 to 10 seconds, right? In other words, we get the initial point where v is 0 and the final point where v is 10.0 meters per second. And then the corresponding time is from 0 second to 10 seconds. That is, the acceleration, which in this case is considered an average acceleration, all right, because we are referring to a time interval from 0 to 10 seconds. So we have here the change in the velocity, final minus initial, or 10 point meters per second minus 0. That will be divided by the time interval, final time minus initial time, or 10 second minus 0. So when you do our math, we get the value or the amount of the average acceleration equal to positive 1.0 meters per second squared. All right? So obviously, the direction of the acceleration is positive, meaning eastward, okay, relative to the origin. But then again, the value that we computed here is the average. All right, the average acceleration. If you're talking about the individual instantaneous acceleration, all right, the process actually, mathematically speaking, requires getting the what we call the the delta v for a very small uh, period of time, right? Say, for example, at exactly 0 seconds, we can determine um, the corresponding change in time, right, by getting the what we call derivative, the derivative of the change in the velocity over the change in time as delta t approaches 0, right? That is, mathematically speaking, we will use, or we can use, derivative, the concept of derivative. But graphically, right, graphically, uh, we can also determine the slope of the curve, right, at exactly, for example, at exactly 5.0 seconds. So the technique requires you to be able to get the tangent line, a line tangent to that point in the graph corresponding to 5.0 seconds. That is a process that requires uh, skills, okay, the ability to uh, draw a line that is really tangent to just one point in the graph, right? That line intersects only that point in the graph, and it does not intersect any other point in the graph except for the intended instant, like, for example, at exactly 5.0 seconds. So that is the graphical technique of determining the instantaneous acceleration, all right, which is represented by the slope of the curve at that point. But simply by looking at how the curve, all right, how the curve appears in our drawing, all right, as I said, when the what we call concave side of the curve is facing to the right, right? That means that the slope of that curve is getting less steep, all right? At the start, it has a very high steepness. In other words, it has a very high instantaneous acceleration. And as time passes and approaches 10 point seconds, you will notice that uh, the steepness of the curve gets less and less steep until it becomes almost horizontal. All right? So, while the instantaneous acceleration at exactly 0 time or 0 second is very, very high, all right, the instantaneous acceleration, meaning the slope of the curve at exactly 10 point seconds, okay, the slope here at this point is almost equal to 0. So 0 slope here suggests 0 instantaneous acceleration, right? So just to show that the average acceleration is not so high but not so low. We have here the time interval from 0 to 10 point seconds, that's delta t, and the corresponding change in the velocity, all right? We have 10 point meters per second minus 0. So when we divide the delta v over delta t, we come up with this amount of the average acceleration, positive 1.0 meter per second squared. But our description of graph line A is that the body has an increasing positive velocity and at the same time a decreasing positive acceleration. In question number 1, option B is considered a correct description of graph line B in this graph. Graph line B covers the time interval 10 point seconds to 15 seconds. Okay, since the graph line is sloping downward to the right and passes through the time axis at a certain instant, right? And then continues in the negative x direction, right? So we can describe the motion of the particle here. Okay, we say that the particle has a decreasing positive velocity, which means that from an instantaneous velocity of 10.0 meters per second, the particle slows down, all right? it slows down constantly. In other words, the magnitude of its velocity decreases until it becomes zero. So, at a time about 12.5 seconds, we have the velocity of the particle equal to zero at that instant. And then it continues towards the negative direction, all right, with a constant uh, increase, all right, in the velocity. So it is safe, therefore, to say that the particle's velocity is decreasing positively, all right, approaches zero, okay, at an instant, and continues with an increasing negative velocity. So this description agrees or jives with what is mentioned in option B. That's why option B is not a choice for our answer, because we're looking for the false description, which is option A. All right. Notice also that the graph line or graph line B is a straight graph line, right? Suggesting that its slope is constant. So we say that the acceleration on the average is constant. And we can show its computation by getting the ratio of delta V over delta T using the time interval 10 seconds, 10 seconds to 15 seconds. The corresponding change in the velocity or delta V is negative 5.0. That's the final velocity minus 10 meters per second. That's the initial velocity, right? So if we divide this delta V by the corresponding delta T, we get the amount of the acceleration equal to negative 3.0 meters per second squared. Then again, the negative sign of the acceleration suggests that it is directed in the negative x direction. Okay, we call it the average acceleration because it involves using a time interval, right, from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. But since the graph line is straight, so at any point within this graph line, we say that the instantaneous acceleration is the same. All right. That's why we say that the acceleration is constant. All right. Equal to negative 3.0 meters per second squared. So graph line C, the slope is 0 because it is a horizontal graph line, right? The velocity from 15 seconds to 20 seconds remains the same, right? Equal to negative 5.0 meters per second. So in other words, within this time interval, there is no change in the velocity, right? In fact, when we substitute in the formula to determine the average acceleration, delta V over delta T, we have acceleration equals negative 5.0 meter per second minus quantity negative 5.0 meter per second all over 20 30.2 minus 15 seconds. So when we do our math, we get the value of the acceleration equal to 0 or 0 meter per second squared, right? And we also add to that statement that a 0 acceleration doesn't mean that the body has no motion or that the body is at rest, right? Although there are cases when both the velocity and the acceleration are equal to 0. But in this case, right, the velocity is not 0, but is in fact equal to negative 5.0 meter per second. And it remains constant within this time interval. All right. And during such time interval, there is no change in the velocity, right? Hence, the acceleration is considered 0, right? And our computation here is the proof to that. Finally, for graph line D, right? Graph line D represents the motion of the particle for the time interval 20 seconds to 30 seconds, right? And you notice that the graph line or graph line D is not straight, but it is a curve sloping upward to the right, starting at a velocity that is negative, right? Negative 5.0 meters per second. This is at initial time, 20 seconds. So as time passes between 20 seconds and 30 seconds, you'll notice that the graph line is sloping upward. So as far as the magnitude of the velocity is concerned, we say that the magnitude of the velocity is decreasing. In short, the body in fact is slowing down from a speed or magnitude of the velocity 5.0 meter per second, right? It's becoming slower until it approaches zero velocity or zero speed, right? But you will notice that the curvature of this graph line, all right, we have the concave side of the curve facing to the left, right? Which suggests that the slope of this graph line is definitely not constant, but is in fact increasing in the value of its slope. And the slope suggests that the acceleration, right, is also increasing within the time interval. So we're gonna show the average acceleration delta b over delta t, and we choose the time interval 20 seconds to 30 seconds, right, with the corresponding final and initial velocity. That is 0 meter per second minus negative 5.0 meter per second divided by 30 second minus 20 seconds. So doing our math, we get the amount of the average acceleration or the average slope of graph line D equal to positive 0.50 meter per second squared. All right. So definitely it is a positive acceleration. And the fact that it's a curve, right, whose slope is increasing, we say that the body has an increasing positive acceleration at the same time with a decreasing negative velocity. So for question number 2-A, we are to determine the total distance covered by the particle from 10 point seconds to 20 point seconds. And still using the velocity time graph that we have here, specifically graph lines B and C. All right. We shade the area bounded by these graph lines with the time axis. That is, for graph line B, the area that it bounds with the time axis is shaded yellow. Right? So the areas of these two triangles will represent the distance covered by the particle for the time interval 10 point seconds and 15 seconds. And for graph line C, the area that it bounds with the time axis is shaded pink here in our diagram. So it represents the distance covered by the particle from 15 seconds to 20 point seconds. We know that in finding the area of a right triangle, we simply multiply 1/2 the height and multiplied by the base. So in the case of the two triangles, that is equal to 1/2 multiplied by 15 meters per second. And then multiply also by 5.0 seconds. 15 meters per second here is the combined change in the magnitude of their corresponding heights. 10 meter per second for the bigger triangle and 5.0 meter per second for the smaller triangle, for a total of 15 meters per second. Right? So when we multiply this and get the total area, we get 37.5 meters. And for the square, the area bounded by graph line C with the time axis, we simply multiply the two sides. All right? One side corresponds to the change in the magnitude of the velocity, 5.0 meter per second, multiplied by the other side, which represents the time interval from 10 point seconds to 20 point seconds, which will give us the area of the square equal to 50 point meter. So these two areas, when added, will give us the total area 88 meters in two significant figures. So this total distance or total area represents the total distance covered by the particle between 10 point seconds and 20 point seconds. Last but not the least, we determine the net displacement of the particle for the same time interval, 10 point seconds to 20 point seconds. And we will still be referring to the velocity time graph, particularly graph line B and graph line C, right? So we already said that the two graph lines or the area bounded by the two graph lines with the time axis will represent our required net displacement, right? So for the two triangles, the bigger one and the smaller one, their combined area represents the displacement of the particle between 10 point seconds and 15 seconds. All right, that is 1/2 multiplied by the total change in velocity, which is positive 5.0 meter per second, when multiplied by 5.0 seconds, which is the time interval. All right, that product would represent the net displacement of the particle between 10 point seconds and 15 point seconds. That is equivalent to positive 13 meters. And the area of the square, right, which is, of course, just the product of the two sides. One side corresponding to the change in the velocity, negative 5.0 meter per second, which when multiplied by the other side, which represents the time interval, 15 seconds to 20 point seconds. So when multiplied, that will also give us a displacement equal to negative 25, all right, meters. So that when these two displacements are combined or added vectorially, we get the net displacement equal to negative 12 meters in two significant figures. All right? So this means that within this time interval, 10 point seconds to 20 point seconds, the particle has been displaced 12 meters west of the origin. That's the meaning of negative 12 meter net displacement, which obviously is different from the total distance that the particle has covered within the same time interval. In letter A earlier, okay, we got the value of the distance covered by the particle for the same time interval, which once again showed us that indeed distance, which is a scalar quantity, is not always the same as net displacement, which is a vector quantity. While distance does not require specification of its direction, net displacement is a vector quantity requiring specification of its magnitude and direction. So on this note, may I say mabuhay. Till the next episode, MashaAllah. Thank you very much for your indulgence. Please follow me in my YouTube channel. Alhamdulillah.